What if Roman Reigns didn't just return to WWE? What if he returned to reform the Shield? I know what you're thinking. Jon Moxley, the man we knew as Dean Ambrose, is locked down with AEW, and Roman's own bloodline has completely imploded. A full reunion seems like a fantasy. But what if the plan isn't a full reunion? What if it's a two-man alliance with the one person whose career has been tied to his for a decade? Seth freaking Rollins. The clues for this epic theory are hiding in plain sight. What we could be about to witness isn't a nostalgic trip down memory lane. It's a hostile takeover. First, to understand where a theory like this comes from, you have to picture the absolute chaos that could be consuming Monday Night Raw in 2025. Imagine the Red Brand isn't a wrestling show anymore. It's a battlefield with warlords fighting for every inch of territory. On one side, you'd have the fractured pieces of the bloodline, maybe led by a colder, more vicious Solo Sikoa, trying to build his own legacy. But the real power, the faction that could hold the show hostage in this scenario, would be a new enterprise led by Seth Rollins. Picture Rollins returning not as the visionary, but as a pragmatic general. And who would he enlist as his soldiers? Two of the most destructive forces imaginable. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Together, they would be a blunt instrument of dominance. And who would be the supposed brains behind this operation? The ultimate puppet master, Paul Heyman. Imagine the shock if Heyman appeared to abandon Roman Reigns during his absence, only to resurface as the oracle for Seth Rollins. He'd claim he just backs winners, and with Roman gone, Rollins was the smartest bet. With Heyman's genius and Rollins' new muscle, they could run roughshod over everyone, creating a power vacuum. Raw would become a lawless land, and it's into that chaos that a ghost from the past would finally return. Now imagine Roman Reigns' music hits. The reaction would be seismic, but the man who walks out isn't the same one who left. This wouldn't be the arrogant, all-conquering head of the table. The swagger would still be there, but it'd be mixed with something else. Humility. Loss. He'd return not with his family, but completely and utterly alone. He lost his title. He lost his family. And in this theory, he lost his wise men. For the first time in years, Roman Reigns would look vulnerable. A king without a crown, a general without an army. His return wouldn't be a big declaration of dominance. It'd be a scouting mission. He'd survey the landscape he once ruled, only to see it being controlled by his greatest rival and his most trusted advisor. In his first promo back, he wouldn't talk about championships. He'd talk about foundations, legacy, and how empires that don't adapt are doomed to fail. It would be cryptic, deliberate, and the very first clue that Roman's new strategy isn't about conquest. It's about an alliance. If you just watch the surface-level story, you'd see two bitter rivals on a collision course. But if you start reading between the lines of this hypothetical scenario, the evidence points not toward a war between them, but a conspiracy that unites them. Paul Heyman is the most brilliant self-serving strategist in wrestling history. So, why would he jump ship to Roman's biggest rival? Is it just about backing the new top dog, or is it something more? Heyman knows Roman's weaknesses, especially that after the bloodline's collapse, Roman could never trust family again. But Heyman also knows Seth Rollins' fatal flaw, his belief that he's always the smartest man in the room. What if Heyman isn't advising Rollins? What if he's managing him, controlling him, and setting him up for something bigger? Heyman's true loyalty was never to Rollins, it's to power. And what's more powerful than a united Reigns and Rollins? Look at the hypothetical chessboard. Solo Sikoa's faction would want to erase Roman's legacy. They'd be actively hunting him. On the other side, you'd have Rollins believing he's in charge, but really just a figurehead for Heyman. In this world, both men are isolated. Roman is without a family, and Seth is surrounded by soldiers with no real loyalty to him. Neither can survive at the top alone. They need an ally they can trust, or at least an ally whose motives they understand perfectly. The enemy of my enemy is my brother. There is no Roman Reigns without Seth Rollins, and there is no Seth Rollins without Roman Reigns. From their debut in black tactical gear to the chair shot that changed the industry, their careers are a tangled web of brotherhood and betrayal. They've been each other's greatest allies and most hated rivals. That deep, complex history isn't a weakness. It's a strength. There are no secrets between them. They know exactly who the other person is. After years of trying to prove who was better, they are now two of the only people who truly understand the weight of the crown the other has worn. That shared experience creates a bond stronger than any friendship. This all points to one unbelievable conclusion. This theory isn't about one more match between them. It's about them finally ending the war against each other and starting a new one against everybody else. But what do you guys think? Is a two-man Shield the future of Raw, or is this just setting the stage for one final epic betrayal? Let me know your theories in the comments below, and if you enjoy breaking down WWE storylines like this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. This brings us to the core of the theory. We are not getting the Shield back. The Hounds of Justice are a memory. What we would get is an evolution. Something far more dangerous. A two-man unit, forged in betrayal and united by one goal, complete and total control. This wouldn't be about nostalgia. It's about necessity. Think about their characters. Roman Reigns, the humbled tribal chief who has learned the true cost of power. Seth Rollins, the architect who has seen his own vision co-opted. They no longer need to prove themselves against one another. They've both reached the mountaintop and been knocked off. What they need now is to build something new, something unbreakable. This new Shield wouldn't be about justice. It would be about their order. Two battle-tested veterans who know every trick and every political maneuver it takes to run the industry. They wouldn't need a third man because their combined experience and power would be more than enough to dominate the entire locker room. They would be the judge, jury, and executioner for Monday Night Raw. So how does it all happen? The catalyst would have to be the ultimate betrayal, orchestrated by the master himself, Paul Heyman. Picture this. Seth Rollins is in the ring, flanked by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, bragging about his dominance. Suddenly, Heyman gives a subtle signal. Breaker and Reed attack Rollins from behind. A vicious, calculated beatdown. Heyman watches with a smirk, revealing this was always his plan. Breaker and Reed were never Rollins' muscle. They were Heyman's acquisitions. Just as Reed is about to put Rollins through the mat, the arena goes dark. The familiar music hits. Roman Reigns walks to the ring, not with urgency, but with cold purpose. He calmly dispatches Breaker and Reed, not to save Rollins, but to eliminate rogue pieces from the board. Roman stands over a broken Rollins. Heyman enters the ring and hands Roman a microphone. Roman looks down at Seth and says, "I told you you can't fight an army alone, and you can't trust anyone, except the brother you went to war with." He extends a hand. After a long, intense hesitation, Rollins takes it. They rise together. Not as friends, but as partners. Heyman stands between them, revealing his masterstroke. He didn't leave Roman for Seth. He used Seth to humble him, to break him down, so he could be rebuilt as part of something greater. He orchestrated a merger. The two biggest forces of the last decade are now one. The formation of this two-man Shield would be a declaration of a new reality. Their first act wouldn't be to chase a title. It would be to seize the show itself. They would become the de facto authority of Raw, their word becoming law. This theory sets the stage for unbelievable future conflicts. A two-man Shield versus a reunited Imperium. A war with Solo Sikoa's bloodline at Survivor Series for control of the family legacy? Or maybe they just systematically dismantle the roster until no one is left. It raises the ultimate question. Who could possibly stand up to a united Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins? With Paul Heyman pulling the strings, they would be an unstoppable force. And could this all be part of an even longer game? A plan to create a kingdom so powerful that it could one day entice a certain lunatic fringe to come home for one last ride? Let me know what you think is next in the comments below.